What is going on, everyone? Parsnip here, and today we will be talking about the two factions of Blessed Online. So at first we have the Northern Continent, which lies the Hirian Alliance, and the Southern Continent, which hosts the Union Alliance. Now here we will go ahead and cover the exclusive races, main differences, and some of the lore to pretty much help you guys decide which faction you should choose. So starting off, let's go ahead and talk a bit more about the two factions themselves and its lore. Of course, I will do my best not to spoil anything important. So at the core of the game's story lies a rivalry between the two powerful factions, which is the Hirian Alliance and the Union Alliance, both of which are actually located in the same continent. The upper half of the continent belongs to the Hirian state, which is up north and holds the capital of the kingdom called Hirakan. Now of course guys, if I butcher some of these names, do not mind me. And of course we have, after the north, we have the lower part, which is the southern, which belongs to the Union, which holds the Spezia, which of course is their capital. Now the goal of the Hirian Alliance, which is also known as the Holy Empire or the Northerners, so if I refer to them as one of those three, you guys know which one I'm referring to. So their goal is to unite the entire nation under its flag. Hirian has developed tremendously compared to the Union, as the state successfully beating out their competitors, especially in technological development. Now they dedicate themselves to defending their own civilizations for decades and intend to continue keeping all of their promises. Of course, you can tell that the Hirian, not only by their name, they're more of a noble cause, a more united land and things like that. And more like exactly what their name implies, a holy empire, if you want to call it that. Now, as for the Southerners, aka the Union, they wish to acquire power over the land and become leaders of a new era. The main goal of the Union is pretty much in opposition to the North. Because the South pretty much, they do not wish to become a part of the Holy Empire. Instead, what they want to do is make the North a part of them. However, unlike the North, the Union Alliance is made of separate federations, each maintaining their own laws, rules, and orders. So you can definitely tell it's not as united as the North. Next up, we have the races. Now, different races are united under both banners, and early in the stages of the game, you will have to decide which state you want to represent, and I'm here to help. Now, before we begin, let me just explain one thing in case you are not aware of it. In Blessed Online, classes cannot be played by all races, meaning if you like a race and want to play a class, make sure to check out if said race is available for that class. For example, the Pantera race cannot be a mage or a paladin. Of course, the humanoid races of the game allows you to play with pretty much every class, so that's the go-to option in case you don't really care about the race. So let's go ahead and start off with the single neutral race of the game. This means that you can play this regardless of the faction that you pick. Now, these are the Maskus. These are little creatures that will pretty much fit the role of the lolly/furries of the game. They are talented in commerce and industries according from their lore. They are also from a different continent. The Maskus can also pick a variety of different classes, such as the Guardian, the Berserker, the Mage, and the Paladin, as well as the Ranger. Now, there is one more class that they can play, which is the Assassin. However, the Assassin will only be released in a later date. Now, let's get on to the races that are actually exclusive to a faction. We can go ahead and start off with the North, the Hirian Alliance. So pretty much we have the Habich. The Habich fits pretty much the Holy Empire perfectly because they value bravery, honor, and chivalry, and are pretty much the humans of the Northern Empire. The Habich are bigger and stronger than their counterparts from the Southern continents, the humans from the Southern continents, and they can play pretty much all classes, including the Assassins and Mystic, which will be released in a later date. Next up, we have the Sylvian Elf. As you can imagine by their name, they are one of the elf races in the game, and like most elves in MMOs, they are the forest hippies who value wisdom and harmony. Of course, they are portrayed as beautiful and a noble race. The Sylvian can play pretty much all classes besides the Berserker. The last class from the Hirian faction is the Lupus. Now, these classes are, they are pretty much beastkins is what I want to say, and unlike their appearance, they are actually a surprisingly peaceful race. Compared to the ones in the south, they are a lot more peaceful. They love nature. However, don't just let that peaceful appearance fool you. The Lupus can turn into ferocious beasts whenever their nature is provoked. The Lupus can choose pretty much between 4 classes. These are the Berserker, the Guardian, the Ranger, and lastly the Mystic, which is not yet released. So if you do want to play the Lupus, you only have 3 class choices once the game is out in NA and EU. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about the races in the south. Starting off with the Amistad. The Amistad is pretty much like the Habich of the north, but with a little bit of a darker appearance and a smaller physique. The Amistad are pretty much the humans, of course, and are considered to be strong and independent warriors. Like the humans up north, they can play any class. Following the Amistad, we have the Aqua Elf, which are considered to be a darker and less noble when compared to the Sylvian Elf. They are actually exiled elves that tinkered with chaotic magic, and their goal is to defy their fate. Now, you probably noticed by now, but the races down south in the Union Alliance are similar, but a little bit darker, you know, something more chaotic, more evil. Even though it doesn't necessarily have to be that way, the way they're portrayed with their lore, the things they do, it's pretty much a little bit of a darker version. So those are who are in more into the evil or darkness type things will most likely pick the Southern Continent. And of course, like the other elves, these elves can play any class besides the Berserker. And last up, we have the Pantera, which, like I said before, are the counterparts of the Lupus. However, even though they look a little bit similar in the south, they are a lot more aggressive, and they are known for never being defeated in their martial arts and their incredible strength. The Pantera will make a worthy foe no matter who they are up against. Now, this race can play again exactly like the Northern counterpart, the Guardian, Berserker, Ranger, and the unreleased Assassin. Now, lastly, guys, for those that will be playing with friends or guilds, each race starts in a different zone. That means no matter what continent you pick, if you want to go north or if you want to go south, or not continent, but the side of the continent that you pick, if you want to be the Herian or the Union, regardless, if you have a different race from your guild or from your friends, you will start off in a different starting zone. However, this is only for a short period of time, and that is because around level 5, I'd say give or take an hour or so, you will reach the capital. Now that we talked about the races, a bit of the lore, what to expect on each side, let's go ahead and talk about the aspect of the north and the south. So guys, the similarities are pretty big when it comes to the scenery, the landscapes, and things like that. Now, they both have a little bit of a difference, but you will not have, like, the south is not going to be a completely dark and spooky place, and the north is not going to be just beautiful, holy, and light empire. They're both going to have their lights and darks, their pros and cons. It really depends on you. One of the big things that I really like is seeing, for example, the elf village, you know, Elgradz, and I forgot what the other one's called at the moment, but I think it's Elhano or the Aqua Elf Zone. So one of them is like a huge elf tree forest type thing, and it's located in the north. And then you have the southern one, which is like a floating beautiful island that's covered with waters and things like that, which is the Aqua Elves one. So it really depends on you. Throughout this video, you guys have been seeing some of the screenshots, some of the videos playing. That's pretty much of the continents and of the worlds themselves. So if you're gonna pick a place or a faction for the starting zone, for the scenery, for what you can expect, you definitely have to go more in depth and just see what you yourself as a player want. Do you want to be an elf and go in floating islands and be surrounded by water, or do you want to be a more noble elf, one of those tree elves that are covered with trees, with huge trees, a very green place to live in, very beautiful as well. Since you're going to be spending a big part of your gameplay in the main capital, which capital do you want to be in? Do you want to be in Spezia, or do you want to be in the Herian capital, you know, one of the more citadel-ish, more well-defended north, or one of the cooler looking or bigger cities, in my opinion, that is Spezia. Of course, this is all depending on your opinion. Some places have their pros, other places have their cons. So that's pretty much it for the factions themselves, guys. If you guys have any question, if maybe you wanted to know more about the lore, the thing is, I didn't want to spoil the game too much for you guys. I think you guys should really not invest too much time in picking the factions themselves, but go with where your guild's gonna be, unless there is a more a bigger reason. For example, if you have friends playing in the Union, I really don't see that big of a reason to go to the Hirian, or if you have guilds in the Hirian, I don't really see that big of a reason to go down south. It's not that big of a difference. It's just really personal preference. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for now. Any questions, suggestions, or maybe something that I said wrong, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time.